All right, take it away, Delilah.
I'm pretty sure I was unmuted. Hello, everybody. I'm back. Hopefully to make it through this school today. So far, so good. All right, just a few little factoids, not too many. All right, so we'll go back to October 7th, 1979. Dino Hall of the Cleveland Browns returned a franchise record of 9 kickoffs in a game, but still somehow they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 51-35. So even though he had a record return of 9 kickoffs, they still went down against Pittsburgh. On October 7th, 1984, Walter Payton hits a major milestone when he surpasses the great Jim Brown, who had at that, who was at 12,312 yards. And so Sweetness became, at that point, the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Again, we know now that Emmitt Smith broke that record with Dallas. But again, at this time, for this record, that's when Sweetness broke Jim Brown's record. On October 7th, 2012, Drew Brees of the New Orleans Saints etches his name because he did break a lot of records as well. Again, in the NFL record books, breaking legendary quarterback Johnny Unitas' record of 48 consecutive games with a touchdown pass. All right, so that's kind of the stuff that happened on October 7th. Let's move on to October 8th. October 8th, 1950 is the first time the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers play each other in an NFL rivalry, because remember, prior to there were 2 different leagues at the time, right? There was the AFL and then the NFL. And so in 1950, that's when, during that time period, that's when Cleveland came on board. And this is when the famous rivalry between the Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers started. October 8th, 1950. Okay, October 8th, 1995, that's when then quarterback Dan Marino broke Tarkenton's NFL career completion record of 3,686 reception completions. So Dan Marino was also breaking records, right, in his time. We know that. October 8, 2018, this one goes back to Drew Brees. It just so happened that he had a couple. 2018, New Orleans quarterback Drew Brees becomes NFL's all-time leader in passing yards. He only needed 201 yards to pass Peyton Manning's record. He instead got 363 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game, which was unfortunately against Washington at the Super Bowl. So that was October 8th. October 9th, 1938, the Cleveland Rams and the Chicago Bears play one of only 4 penalty-free games in NFL history. Somehow, in that game, no penalties happened. And this was October 9th, 1938. October 9th, 1989, the first NFL game coached by an African-American, Art Snell, which I actually talked about Art Shell, during my Diversity with Delilah segment, but that was the first time he actually coached. And the LA Raiders beat the New York Jets 14-7 on Monday Night Football. Wow, what a game, 14-7. But still, again, big day in NFL history as we saw our first Black coach in the NFL. Postmodern, I'm not saying he was the first, remember, it's just modern NFL, 1989. Alrighty, finally moving on to today, October 10th, but we're going back decades, a long time ago. October 10th, 1920, the Chicago Cardinals, because again, the Cardinals, they were a Chicago team before, they became Arizona's team. The Chicago Cardinals played their first game in the AFPA, which again is precursor to the NFL. And the game was against crosstown rivals, the Chicago Tigers. And it ended in a draw, 0-0. Can you imagine a 0-0 game? October 10th, 1921, the NFL Decatur Staleys officially become the Chicago Staleys, and they win that game 14-10. Now, here's one for our Canadian friends and viewers. If you're watching, on October 10th, 1960, a CFL rushing record for a single game is reached when Ron Stewart of the Ottawa Rough Riders runs for 287 yards in a game against the Montreal Alouettes. Yeah, I hope I said that right. I'm not French. Sorry. So there you have it, one for our Canadian friends. October 10th, 1976, the Giants Stadium in New Rutherford, New Jersey opens up its gates for the first time. And in that game, they got beaten by the Dallas Cowboys. So even though it was the first game played there, festivities were darkened when they lost 24-14. And finally, fast forward October 10th, 1993, the NFL Cleveland Browns' Najee Mustafa sets a club record for longest interception of 97 yards. And there you have it. That's this week in NFL history.
All right. Well, Delilah, thank you very much, bro. That was a lot of good stuff, though. That, you know, with the Chicago connection, the Staleys, and all that stuff. That was all good stuff. Always appreciate that segment.